So really, it's the life cycle of a catchphrase, Patrick. I mean, it gets popular, gets overused, and then you will feel like you're pandering when you say it, but it doesn't change the fact that you invented it, okay?
I believe I'm probably the one person that can still use it today at the height of its popularity and still get away with it.
I
It
think that's
feels,
it, right?
I'm
That's it. Yeah.
legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you ready?
I was born ready.
Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Tech News Show. If you would like to listen live, press 1 now. If you would like to watch live, press 2 now. If you would like to download later, press 3 now. If you would like to support, go to bit.ly/helpdtns.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, March 17th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt, and because it's St. Patrick's Day, we have Patrick Beja, DTNS contributor on the show. The only reason, not because you're here every Tuesday, not at all.
Absolutely not. And you know what? Usually when I come on the show, like, I hear that there are video game news apparently every day except when I'm on here, like, tech-related video game news. So this time, I called up Satoru Iwata, president of Nintendo, and I was like, "Listen, Sato, sir, I'm on DTNS. I'm on DTNS on Tuesday, so if you might please consider announcing huge news on this day, I would be very thankful."
And so then he announced it last night because last night it was Tuesday in Japan.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about Nintendo finally going to mobile, sort of, kind of, in a little bit. But first, a look at the headlines. It's that time again, Apple Television rumor time. This one comes from the Wall Street Journal. Apple will supposedly launch a TV service with around 25 channels for around $30 to $40 a month US. It would include ABC, CBS, and Fox channels, both their broadcast and some of their cable channels, but not NBC channels because of a dispute with Comcast. However, 9 to 5 Mac has a source that says NBC would like to launch an app on Apple TV as well as Fire TV and Xbox in the second half of this year. The new NBC app would require a cable subscription in order to use it, though.
It's still, I don't know if it's exactly what people had been waiting for, especially since 30 to $40 a month. If you add in Netflix and HBO, and pretty soon you're at the level that you were when you were just paying your gigantic cable bill, right?
So, well, yeah. Let's say you get Sling TV for $20 a month, which has ESPN and and some of the channels that the Apple one won't have, because they do have NBC Universal Sports. They don't have an NBC main channel. Then you go to Apple and you get FX, which Sling TV doesn't have, and some of the Fox and CBS channels that Sling TV doesn't have. But then you're paying, let's say, 30. Now you're paying $50 a month. Then you get HBO Now, which is going to be $15 a month. So now you're paying $65 a month. That's pretty close to what you would pay. So this is not about money savings. This is about flexibility and having control, because you don't have to enter into contracts for these things, presumably. Although we'll see about the Apple one. This is not a dollar-saving enterprise. It's not looking like.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's never going to come in Europe anyway, because we never get those things. So, well,
no,
maybe.
Because you have your own. Like in the UK, they have all the Sky and free TV and all free play. Do you have anything like that in France?
Well, not exactly like this. We have those triple play boxes which get you TV through IP, but the thing is, you get a good selection of free channels through the antenna, which is now digital, obviously. So I guess it's not exactly the same situation. The one thing that is frustrating, though, is that we're not likely to get HBO anytime soon, because, and even if we do, it's probably not going to be as interesting as it is in the US, because they have deals for certain shows with other channels. As, for example, we do get Netflix now, but we don't get House of Cards on it because they sold the rights to someone else. So, yeah. Anyway. Complicated. Engadget reports that Google has started reviewing some apps before they are available for download in the Google Play Store. The policy, which has been in effect for a few months, uses a mix of algorithms and human intervention. Google also launched a rating system for Android apps that will label which games are appropriate for various age groups.
So this is Google sort of moving towards admitting what Apple decided was true at the beginning, which is you got to put a human hand if you really want to maintain a quality store. But Google, I think, I don't know. I think this is a better approach because they're using an algorithm. They're saying we only really want a human involved when it has to happen, and while we're doing it, let's use it to automate some ratings and things like that, which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's definitely seems like a lighter touch than what Apple does, but it's a long way from what they were initially implying. I'm not sure they said it outright, but implying that anything is welcome on our store. At some point, it seems they do need curation. It makes
Everything
sense.
is welcome on our store. Oh, except for malware. Everything but malware. Oh, and illegal porn. Everything but malware and illegal porn. Oh, and broken apps. Okay, we're just going to review this.
Yeah, that's basically how it went over the past few years.
Nintendo announced in a press conference that it will partner with mobile game publisher Dina to make original mobile games using Nintendo characters and worlds. Along with the new games this autumn, Nintendo will launch a cross-platform membership service for mobile devices, PCs, and Nintendo devices. You can log in on one and have access to your membership across all of them. One of those devices will someday be a new game console, which they referred to as NX. Nintendo called it a, quote, entirely new concept, but we won't hear any details on that until next year. Ars Technica has one of the best stories rounding up the details if you want to read a little more about this, and we're going to talk a little more about what this means for Nintendo's strategy. Certainly was good for their stock. It jumped up close to 27% after this announcement.
Yeah, well, I can't barely contain myself, but we'll talk about it later. Just one note, the company that they're partnering with their name is pronounced DNA. So
DNA. DNA. DNA.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it. Exactly, you got it. In Gadget Reports, Microsoft announced its complicated Japanese pronunciation. I get it. In Gadget Reports, Microsoft announced Windows 10 will support logins by fingerprint, facial recognition, and iris scan. Of course, the device it's running on has to have the right sensor, but a framework called Hello will make sure the login experience is consistent across different manufacturers. For devices without sensors, a feature called Passport lets you enter a password and device-specific PIN. All the biometric data and the PIN will be stored on the machine.
This
So
is
not in the cloud.
Yeah, this is Microsoft recognizing that using your Microsoft account to log in on a Windows machine could go very badly in certain situations, and they are going above and beyond. I mean, a lot of companies would just put in the device-specific PIN and call it a day, or even just some form of even more simplistic two-factor authentication. Moving into the biometric scheme, I think, shows that they're willing to go a little bit of the extra mile. At the same time, I think you're going to get a lot of skepticism from people about how well facial recognition, iris scan, fingerprints are going to work and how secure they are. So I am glad that they're storing all that stuff locally on the machine.
Hopefully, for a little while, we'll have both options on the machines. For the people need time to get used to those new ways of unlocking your device. I don't think people will be very comfortable from the get-go, but over a few years, maybe.
Yeah. And Gadget notes that Sling TV launched today on Xbox One. Speaking of Sling TV, you can pin Sling TV to your home screen, control the app with Kinect for Xbox One, and Snap with other activities so you can play games and watch your stories at the same time. Existing Xbox One owners can try the service free for a month. That's up from the usual 7-day trial they've been doing, so that's pretty cool. If you don't have an Xbox One, you can get 3 months free if you purchase an Xbox One before March 22nd, 2015 from a Microsoft retail outlet or online store. So I was talking to Lamar Wilson earlier today, and he said that Sling TV is definitely the best on the Xbox of any device he's tried yet.
Cool. PC World reports NVIDIA CEO Yen-Sung Huang revealed details.
No, Patrick, it's pronounced Jen.
That's what I was waiting for. I'm also going to mispronounce CUDA or CUDA. I'm not sure if you pronounce it, as
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
Fair enough.
It's an acronym.
So, NVIDIA CEO Jen-Hsun Huang revealed details about the GeForce Titan X at the GPO Technology Conference. The card has 3,072 CUDA cores, or CUDA cores, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and costs $1,000. Huang claimed the single precision floating point performance is 7 teraflops, but only 200 gigaflops in double precision. The one benchmark revealed was neural net analysis. Titan X can process the data in 1.5 days compared to 5 days for the Titan Black.
Yeah, and that double precision performance is about the same as a 2-generation-old version of the card, but they say don't worry about the double precision. That's not what this meant for, and that's why they put that neural net analysis benchmark out there. Recode reports NVIDIA also announced a self-driving car platform called Drive PX that will go on sale in May for $10,000. This is the platform they were teasing at CES, if you remember. It's powered by 2 Tegra X1 chips and will supposedly be 3,000 times faster than DARPA's Dave platform. The platform also can be trained, and Huang said it gets smarter with every over-the-air update. NVIDIA hopes to expand its partnerships with Tesla, Audi, and BMW, and he'll probably get an expanded partnership with Tesla since Elon Musk joined him on stage to talk about security in self-driving cars.
Recode reports Facebook has launched the ability to send payments through Facebook Messenger at no cost. Once you've tied your debit card to your Facebook account, you can click a $ icon to open a payment screen in Messenger. If someone sends you money and you don't have a debit card attached, Facebook will hold on to the money for you until you get it set up. How kind of them. No payment can be sent without a PIN or thumbprint scan, and the rollout will start in select U.S. cities and progress internationally later.
Yeah, over the next few months.
It's a fairly big deal, isn't it? It's Facebook getting people to attach their credit card details to their accounts, and it can be used for a lot of things.
Well, Facebook this is the first time they've got your credit card details, right?
Exactly.
They've sold things in the past, so a lot of people already have something tied to their account, and I do think this is an interesting approach because everything in me says I don't want to give my debit card to Facebook, but I'm like, well, but if I wanted to actually buy something, I wouldn't have thought twice about it, so that's kind of stupid. Then it's I don't know if I trust Facebook with my money, but they're basically saying, look, we don't want to charge transaction fees, so it's actually better than PayPal in a way. They just want to facilitate using Facebook for something. So it all is perfectly rational. There is no reason you shouldn't do this if you're going to exchange money online in any form that isn't Bitcoin. Yet, part of me just recoils about giving Facebook control over one more part of my life, which I say that about Google, I say that about Apple, I say that about everybody. It's like a too good to be true sort of thing. I'm looking for the hole, and I can't find one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
3D printing startup.
Do you want me to say something additional, to?
No, I didn't know. I was just leaving you the opportunity.
I could, for example, I could have come up with something super cool and original, like I was born ready.
3D printing startup Carbon 3D has developed a new 3D printing process that works fast enough to be used for production instead of just prototyping, according to Recode. The process is called CLIP, or Continuous Liquid Interface Production. CLIP involves using light and oxygen to grow objects from a pool of resin instead of building the object layer by layer. Carbon 3D says CLIP is 25 to 100 times faster than traditional 3D writing and can work with a wider array of materials. Carbon 3D debuted the technology Monday at a TED conference in Vancouver. They said they are turning it into a shipping product. This isn't just an experiment, and they will be selling it, although they didn't say what price they'd charge.
Better 3D printers, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I love this idea of sort of projecting. This is like a replicator, right? Because you're sort of projecting the material into its form rather than just layering it slowly. We're getting to the future. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Time now for some news from you. Taurus submitted the Verge article that Microsoft marketing chief Chris Capicel told folks at the Microsoft Convergence event that Microsoft is researching a new name for the Project Spartan browser that will come in Windows 10. Testing shows that whatever the name is, it is perceived better if the name Microsoft is at the beginning. So if expect it to be called Microsoft something. A version of Internet Explorer will also ship with Windows 10, but it will be the last of its name.
Maybe they'll call it Microsoft Internet Explorer. No, it doesn't work.
Isn't that what the Internet Explorer is called? Microsoft Internet Explorer?
Actually, yeah, it might be. It's interesting to see how terribly unpopular the name Internet Explorer has become, and it carries a meaning and a feeling of dread when it's uttered. It's you know. One quick note before I move on to the next story. Big Jim in the chat room was mentioning that the interesting question about Facebook's payment thing is who gets the interest on the money they're keeping safely for you before you actually withdraw it. And I think that's a pretty important question as well. Thought about it earlier, forgot to say.
What Facebook says is that the money is transferred within seconds, as long they don't want to hold on to the money. They want to give it to the bank. So in that period of time, for someone who doesn't have an account for them to send it to, I think even more fundamental question is, where does it go? I mean, Facebook says it's holding it. Do they hold it in a bank account? And in that case, they might make a little interest off of it. I wonder if it's enough to make a difference. I mean, it's not in Facebook's interest to have people not sign up for the service, which is the only way they could really make money off the interest, since when both ends have an account number, they never actually have the money long enough to gain any interest on it.
Fair enough, yeah.
I think. I don't know. Accountants tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it completely makes sense. So I'm telling you you're right. It must be at least as valid as the advice of an accountant.
For sure.
I'm French. Captain Kipper wants you to know that you can now pause videos on your Google Chromecast with your TV remote. It's like magic. As long as it has infrared and has a play-pause button, you can do that. TechCrunch reports that the Chromecast uses the HDMI CEC protocol for the function. So if starting a cast turns on your TV, then this should work for you. The functionality doesn't work in every app, but it does work in many.
Yeah, I think Hulu was the only major app that TechCrunch tested that it didn't work on. It worked on pretty much everything else they tried it on. So that's pretty interesting. Tom Gerke, I think, was the one who tried it out. I saw on Twitter in our chat room, and he said it works great. So there you go. I have a Logitech Harmony remote, so for me, I'm wondering if that's really going to be handy, because I'd have to switch to the TV remote from the Harmony. Anyway, T-Ninja 3000 sent us the GeekWire report that Microsoft will let third-party retailers Amazon, Best Buy, and Target sell the Microsoft Band wearable starting today. The fitness and health tracker already is available in Microsoft stores, but it will now be available in larger quantities there. Costs $199.99 in the U.S. and offers notifications and lightweight apps, along with integration for Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. Microsoft Band will also launch April 15th in the United Kingdom for £169.99. And that is a look at the headlines. I can tell Patrick's just holding his fire for us to talk about Nintendo. So DNA is actually the owner of Engimoko, which, if you ever played Wii Rule back in the day, those are the folks who made that. They are a huge. I mean, do you know much about them? Because I didn't realize until I was starting to look into them today how big they are.
So they are pretty big. They're not the biggest player, even in Japan, I don't think, but they are pretty big. They also have a gaming network service called Mobage, which I believe is a shortened version of mobile games. That's the way they shorten it in Japan. And they're pretty big. They have about 30 million users, I believe, in Japan, the population being about 130 million now. So it's a pretty significant portion of the population. But more than anything, they have a huge knowledge and know-how in infrastructure and network services and things like that, which is apparently what Nintendo was really looking for in this case.
Yeah, because it sounds like what they want to do, at least what I got from the press conference, was take the characters and worlds that they have, create entirely original new games using them. So not porting. They basically said we have no intention at all to port existing game titles for dedicated game platforms, because they say that's just a bad experience. They want to create something that works well within the platform that it runs, whether it's a tablet or a phone, and they want to tie it in with this membership. So if I had to guess, Patrick, I would say it's going to be some sort of freemium thing where the membership service that's going to replace Club Nintendo, now we know why Club Nintendo went away, is the way that you pay for upgrades and pay for in-app purchases, and they needed somebody to be able to handle all of that stuff for them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's still a little bit fuzzy. They spent a whole lot of time in a snooze-inducing presentation talking about a lot of things with not a lot of details. They were the big elements that they mentioned were, I guess the biggest news of all is that they're entering the mobile market somehow. They do recognize now that well, mostly that Nintendo is not having the best few years, the Nintendo Wii U and the 3DS. The 3DS is selling well, but it's not enough to offset the lack of sales on the Wii U.
Do you know what the quote from Iwata was? It has not gone as smoothly as we had expected.
Which is PR talk for saying, well, we need to do something. And they're definitely doing something. They've announced that they were going to go into the quality of life industry as well, with some sort of project that will help you sleep or something like that. But a lot of people had been saying you should go into the mobile market because this is where gaming is going. And in a sense, I mean, there has been a lot of debate. Recently, Veronica and myself were debating it on Pixels, and she was adamant that they should do it. I wasn't so sure because they have a very strong identity in the core gamer market, and gaming on mobile, however much people say is the next big thing, is not as big as, well, it doesn't attract the gamers that enjoy gaming as a specific hobby. It attracts gamers that do this as a pastime of sorts. Still, Nintendo is not in its best shape financially, and they recognize that they have to do something. And mobile is a very obvious choice. On the other hand, they also recognize that they don't have the expertise for everything that is network related, accounts managing. All of that is very almost admittedly now not their best the best elements in their gaming systems. So they are, for a Japanese company, I think, that is as traditional as Nintendo is, the mere fact that they're lucid enough to understand, all right, this network management aspect of everything and the gaming development on smartphones is different, and we don't have that know-how, so we have to partner with someone else in order to make sure that we get to market as fast as possible. And that's something that they've hinted at subtly in their conference, but they could have developed that know-how internally. They've admitted, though, that they want to get announcements and maybe even products out within about a year, or they said they would have announcement within a year. So that is a key part of their partnership. Now, the other things that you mentioned, it's going to include their existing IPs. So possibly Mario, Zelda, all of that is fair game. However, again, Iwata did go out of his way to mention, if you, dear journalists, report we are going to see a Mario game on smartphones, it would be a misleading headline. Because while they are open to having all sorts of games on the smartphones, they're not committing to having anything specific on the smartphones. And they also mentioned it's not going to be the same games. We are not going to port our existing core gaming games to the smartphones. It's going to be different games designed for that interface, and that's something that is going to play very well with the gamers who know that you can't just port any Mario game on a smartphone. The last thing, which was really interesting in the presentation, was that, as you were describing, the membership service, which again is not very clear. They did say it's going to be launching in autumn, and it's going to work on iOS, Android, PC, and future Nintendo systems, which they again made very clear they're not abandoning, and the NX system, which we're having rumors about it being a mix between a hybrid between portable and home system. It's going to work on everything, but we don't really know what it is. And it seems to be a key part of their partnership because, again, DNA, it's what they do. So is it just going to be a subscription service that allows you to get some of the games that they develop? Is it going to be just a mere replacement for the Club Nintendo service that they shut down a few months ago? It's still pretty mysterious. What would you like to see from Nintendo on smartphones, Tom?
Well, I don't know what I'd like to see. Here's what I think I'm going to see. Because Nintendo bought 10% of DNA as part of this transaction. Now, DNA also bought 1.24% of Nintendo because they both sunk 22 billion yen in the other. But that gives Nintendo a much bigger chunk of DNA than it gives DNA a chunk of Nintendo. And I think Nintendo is taking very tentative steps that they finally are forced to do. And so we are going to see them coming up with original games. Iwata said he does not want a one-hit wonder. He says, one of my goals here is that we are challenging ourselves by making use of Nintendo IP to produce multiple hit titles at an early stage. So he wants to come out, and he wants to come out big. He wants to have the next Bejeweled. He wants to have the next big game on mobile that people are all talking about. And Nintendo is definitely in the position to make that happen with marketing, with characters, with worlds. And DNA is in the position to help them execute that correctly. So what I'm guessing is going to happen is this new service launches. It allows you to do some pretty simple things at the launch. It's not going to do much except maybe, sync your Nintendo points across the platforms and help you have leaderboards and friends and things like that. But it's going to be built to grow upon. And as more of these games come out, you'll be able to do some cross-platform experiences. Maybe some of the mobile games will build up points for things. When the NX comes out, it's going to be some entirely new concept, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that integrate in some way with the mobile app platform. Again, not playing the same game across platforms, but maybe having some sort of tied-in experience from one to the other. And I think Nintendo's going to be surprised. I think of Hearthstone when I think about this. And a lot of people think of Hearthstone as a mobile game now, even though it didn't start there. And I think Blizzard is as surprised with the success of Hearthstone as anybody. They didn't think it was going to flop, but it has exceeded their expectations. Do you think that's fair to say?
They've publicly said they didn't expect that kind of response and disclosure.
So what I think is going to happen here is Nintendo's going to have a similar experience where they're going to execute some games and they're going to say, wait a minute, this thing we felt like we had to do because we were going to lose out on marketing. They're talking about it as a marketing arm. And we're going to come out with these mobile games to get people used to Nintendo stuff and then bring them over to the consoles. I think the tail's going to be wagging the dog by the end of this.
So there's definitely something of a perception. Well, maybe perception. Yeah, there is a perception issue in the entire tech industry about mobile gaming for the past, well, ever since the iPhone came out. A lot of people think everyone needs to be doing this. But I don't think it's been true maybe until now, because initially we had a sort of stumbly, confused rush towards mobile, and people thought that mobile was going to be something that it didn't become. We have a few success stories, and as Iwata is saying, most of them are one-hit wonders that honestly no one really knows why those ones came out ahead and not others. I'm thinking of, Angry Birds is very famously a very successful app.
Well, We Rule that I mentioned earlier was sort of the similar thing.
Yeah, Candy Crush Saga and Candy Crush Soda, but they're all one-hit wonders for those companies that haven't been able to replicate them. Game design-wise, they're good, but it's not the kind of game that you could take, that you create a presentation of game design course out of. So now we're getting in a space where the platforms are a little bit more stable. It's not like every year the power doubles and you can't do anything with the previous one, and people are getting used to the UI, to the control mechanisms, and real quote-unquote game designers, that's not quite true, but I'm saying it like that for emphasis, traditional game companies are looking at it and maybe taking that step back, thinking how can we efficiently use and use these tools well to create game experiences that might be interesting for both casual gamers that are looking for pastimes, which are very important, and maybe core gamers that are looking for more fleshed out game experiences. And Nintendo is you mentioned Blizzard. Nintendo is a little bit, in my opinion, in the same category as Apple or Valve or these kinds of companies that aren't necessarily first to market, but that do things with a little bit of forethought and try to do things as well as they could. And it should be said as well that Nintendo currently is really, ironically, at the top of its game in game design. The games that are on Nintendo Wii U are incredible artistically, and on the design side, they're really the best things they've ever produced in my opinion. So there is certainly an opportunity for doing things in the mobile market, but not in the way that people were thinking of 2 years ago, again in my opinion, which was just put things on smartphones, it will sell. Not like that, but actually bring core gaming as well as casual gaming, but core gaming to those platforms in a way that we haven't really seen until now. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think you're right in pointing out that that Nintendo's not late to this decision, even though they're doing it because they feel forced. I think that was the right thing for them to do, because if they had come out with a bunch of ports, Iwata's absolutely right. That would have been sad. It would not have been a great experience, and it might have turned people off to Nintendo on gaming. It might or might not. I don't know. But it would have been less than what they are capable of doing. And I'm glad that they've waited until enough things have been learned about how mobile gaming works that they can come out with something really good. It's a smart move by them.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think if they didn't have to, because of the poor results in their other
you're right.
fields, I don't think they would do it.
Don't give them too much credit, even though they're doing the right thing. Yeah. I get you. All right, our pick of the day comes from Trav. He says, this is Travis from Melbourne, Australia, with a website that might be useful to other Aussies, especially over the next few weeks. It's streamingnation.com.au, news about the local options for streaming video in Australia. There are 2 Netflix-ish services that have recently launched, Presto and Stan, but the elephant in the room is Netflix itself coming next week. Baby, he says. Streaming Nation also has lists of newly added shows and films and has recommendations, which I'm keeping for those nights when my wife just can't make up her mind. You can just turn to streamingnation.com.au. Figure it out. So thank you, Trav. That's good. That's a good one for folks in Australia if you're trying to figure out which or all 3 or what to watch. Looks like a pretty good site. So appreciate the pick. Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. A few messages of the day to get to before we're out of here. First one comes from Bob, who's a Cablevision Internet subscriber. And we mentioned yesterday that Cablevision has announced that they will be selling HBO Now to their broadband-only subscribers. Bob says, that's me. I don't have a cable box, only a TiVo. If I subscribe to HBO Now through Cablevision, how would I watch it? Through Apple TV with a cable login? Would I have to get a box? Is this a case of why bother? Are there going to be discounts? Otherwise, Apple TV would be more convenient, right? Thanks from one of your bosses. Thanks, Boss Bob. I actually wrote Bob back already, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if you buy it through Cablevision, we don't know how you'll be able to access it. Potentially there'll be an HBO Now app come to the TiVo, which case would be the easiest one for Bob. But if not, yeah, he'd have to buy some other device, or probably he could access it on his desktop, is my guess, or his laptop. Bob wrote back like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. I mean, I got my setup. My setup's the TiVo. If it's not on the TiVo, I don't see myself really wanting to pay for it. And I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the reaction of a lot of people is like, well, wait a minute, this is how my setup works. So if I can't get it that way, even though I'm an internet-only subscriber, it doesn't really work for me. Whistle wrote in and said, in regard to bandwidth caps, Comcast in North Georgia cable modem user here, we have a 300 gigabyte limit, and if you cross the magic threshold, they start charging you a flat rate for each additional 10 or 50 gigabytes or something, although I have not done this. So now they just make more money from the bandwidth hogs. Woohoo! No more bandwidth caps. Just what I asked for, sort of.
Yeah,
you guys have a lot of bandwidth caps in France?
No, we have competition. We have no bandwidth cap. We have.
Is that a French word? What is that? Competition.
You know, it relates to capitalism, which I thought you guys were aware of, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Capitalism means that the government gives you a lot of subsidies to build out your infrastructure, and then you don't let anyone else compete with you later.
Oh, that's what it means. We've been doing it wrong for all those years.
Yeah, no, that's what that means. We also asked for legal uses of P2P on yesterday's show after we talked about the fact that Windows 10 may be distributing its updates peer-to-peer. Mink sent us a link to a make use of post from August 2013 that mentioned a few. Archive.org has BitTorrent. Government data sets are often distributed through BitTorrent. Of course, BitTorrent itself has BitTorrent Sync and BitTorrent bundles. Brandon from Winterless Salt Lake says that he himself and his IT department serve up 6.6 terabytes of apps and patches via P2P for the 40,000 computers in his school district, showing how important for enterprise something like this is. And William downloaded the entire Bitcoin blockchain through a torrent, shaving a day off the time it would take to get his Bitcoin node up and running. And finally, Mink added an interesting question about whether mobile, with slower and less reliable networks, with more data caps, and using inherently smaller storage devices, will make torrents more or less attractive to users?
That's a very good question. I don't think it changes much for users, ultimately. It's more for the service serving the file. Yeah. Also, I misspoke earlier. We do have data caps on mobile, but I guess that's the case everywhere.
That is pretty much the case everywhere that I know of. Yeah, I think I don't know that mobile data. I'll tell you what. To answer Mick's question, I would say if mobile data continues to have data caps, then yes, that would be a huge break on using P2P for stuff, because your upload.
So of course. If you download from a URL, you're just downloading. But if you're using P2P, you're also uploading. Hence, you're using more of your. Yeah, makes sense.
Although that would theoretically change entirely the way the network has to be managed, so it might obviate the need for data caps. But if there are wireless services, which there may be soon, that are meant for the home and maybe don't have data caps, I don't know. That of course is an entirely different thing. Then it's just a matter of reliability and lagginess and stuff like that. Joe wrote in and said, hey guys, a few months back I sent an audio recording which you played where I discussed the opportunities created by GoPro's new product with built-in Wi-Fi/internet service. Meerkat would be crazy not to reach out to them for reasons I'm sure you could guess. I shot Meerkat's support a brief email as well, since they're a fun little startup. They could do great things together. Joe he's playing matchmaker. He's like, GoPro, Meerkat, you guys should meet. You guys should talk. Yeah, I could totally see that. I know the GoPro thing was really meant as more of an industry service. So like for things like ESPN or the X Games or the Olympics, something like that. But I could definitely see the idea of if you could use your GoPro with Meerkat, there would be some pretty amazing stuff going across Meerkat.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, Meerkat doesn't really. It's a cool service. It's fun. It's trendy now. But ultimately, I'm not sure it has a lot of value. That it doesn't seem it does anything different than any other service. Basically, it could be replicated pretty easily. If GoPro wanted to do that, I'm not sure why they would need Meerkat. for it.
But I would counter that with, and lots of people have done this before, and they
Absolutely.
didn't get the uptake of Meerkat. So the reason GoPro would want to do it is that that's where the people are. If the people are already there, that's going to make it easy to use.
Maybe I would argue that the reason it didn't get popular before was as much about the way the service has been simplified by Meerkat as it is because of the environment that we are now in, that speeds are better and the phones are more powerful and you can stream more easily. But yeah, it's still picking up steam. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going to turn on myself and argue against myself now and say, you know what, really the compelling thing, because when you were saying that, I realized the compelling thing with Meerkat is that you press a button and it posts a link to Twitter right away. GoPro can replicate that, and they don't need to worry about the social graph so much. So,
and I'm not sure
they want to build a social network.
But, well, yeah, Meerkat doesn't really have a social graph yet. So
yeah, they just announced a change to make it easier to add, search for friends and add them yet, but their social graph got kind of cut off at the heels on Saturday.
Exactly. If they partner with GoPro, more power to them. It would be really cool. But it's just, if GoPro, I don't think they have the infrastructure, for example, that GoPro would want, or anyway, long debate.
Yeah. But see, there you go, Joe. That's why it's such a cool idea, because it causes a lot of thinkings. And that's it for this show. Twitter.com/notpatrick to follow Patrick. Think about it long enough. It makes sense. His Twitter avatar is not actually him. That's him right there. Right, Patrick?
I believe it is. And also, in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, I would encourage you to forego a little bit of drinking, because it's not necessarily good for you, and in its place, listen to Pixels. You will get a little bit more video game knowledge and podcasting in you. Or maybe, you know what, do both. Whatever. Let's be crazy. Just do both.
As long as you can stay awake for Pixels, that's all that matters. Enjoy it whichever way you want. You can enjoy it perfectly sober, and it's still a great show. Yeah, check out Pixels at FrenchSpin.com, along with Patrick's other English language podcasts. And, of course, the French ones are at FrenchSpin.fr if you're interested in those.
Exactly.
Thank you to our patrons, 4,875 people, getting closer and closer to roping in Veronica Belmont and Scott Johnson, the way we've roped in Patrick here and Mr. Justin Robert Young. So if you get some value out of the show, and you can afford to give some value back, and you're not already doing so, check out dailytechnewsshow.com/support. There's all kinds of ways to do it if you feel like doing it. If you don't feel like doing it, that's fine. We're not making you do anything. But there it is if you want to help the show, dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call us, 512-59-DAILY. Our phone number is 593-2459. You can listen to the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific at alphageekradio.com, and our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Mr. Ayaz Akhtar from CNET. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Yay! Great show.
Woo!
That was good. That was quality stuff.
Good stuff.
Excellent. So we're still on the different time zone thing, so I haven't eaten yet.
Yes, go eat.
So I'm gonna go eat. But
Wow.
when do you want us to set up the thing, the meeting with jury?
I'll send an email.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. In that
Au
case,
revoir.
see you later.
All right. Bye, Patrick.
Bye, chat room.
Yay.
Yay, we went all dark.
What?
Oh, that's you. Wait, weird.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, going dark is such a loaded phrase in the TV world. Like,
Got canceled?
oh,
Oh, man.
Saint. What a great title from Sunbun. Saint Not Patrick's Day.
Aw.
Oh, Internet Explorer of House Microsoft, the 11th of its name and last of its line, the unpatched breaker of compatibility and bringer of frustration from Chimera, which, oh my God.
The 11th and last of its name. The 11th of its name and last of its line. The unpatched breaker of compatibility and bringer of frustration.
I never really was frustrated with IE.
Oh, please. You are the only person in the world who has never once been frustrated with IE, then. You've got to be.
I don't use it for security reasons, but it wasn't just like, oh, if I need to search something. What?
You get frustrated with everything.
I get upset with everything.
So you were upset with IE, but never frustrated with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Right.
Of course, I'm upset with Chrome, too, and Firefox. Especially the way Firefox... I mean, come on. The whole memory leak issue. Facebook, no Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo's new DNA. That's pretty good. It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I like that one. NX Soup for Nintendo.
I really love the long one. So maybe
I wish that had been my headline read.
Yeah. You know what we could do is we could call the title Internet Explorer of House Microsoft and then put the longer title right below, like in the actual post. Or there's also Nintendo's new DNA, which is spelled D lowercase E N A, which is pretty great too.
Great.
I love days when our show promotes exciting titles.
All right, well, there you go, folks. I'm thinking if we use the long title from Chimera, we just put the whole thing in there, and you got to go to the blog post if you want to find out what else it says.
I love it.
Then we've got Nintendo's new DNA, and we've got St. Not Patrick's Day. So there's the race, folks. I'm still exporting now. You got 2 seconds. Get in there and vote.
Let's see what we got. Things are binging. Bing, bing, bing.
They're binging in the rain.
Somebody binging in the rain, just binging in the rain. This mind-blowing new 3D printer technique inspired by Terminator 2. What?
Yeah, that's the 3D printer thing we were talking about.
It's a great story.
My friend just sent it to me, my friend who's not into tech news at all, which means that it's pretty cool.
You should send back a snotty thing that's like, yeah, I know, we just covered that on the show I work on.
You know, I do that on almost every other day. So today I'm going to not do that.
Oh, come
I
on.
think it's the Terminator aspect of that title.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
I thought Replicator more than Terminator, though. But
I think they were thinking of the T-1000 with the liquid.
yeah, no, I know, I get it.
All right.
Looks like Chimera wins.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to put the title in, and it's winning. Make a last-minute change if there's a huge surge.
My favorite response to Molly going to Marketplace so far has been, Molly, great news. How will this affect It's a Thing?
Well, you have more time for podcasting now.
That was my absolute favorite. Followed closely by, Molly, don't tweet stuff like this because every time you do, I get excited that you're going to be going to DTNS. And I thought, charities. Oh, did I just make a Bing commercial? Uh-oh. Sorry.
Bing.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to apologize to the internet for making an unintentional Bing commercial. Oh, I did it again! Damn it. Let's see.
Unintentional Bing commercial is my Toad the Wet Sprocket cover band.
Cool.
Nice.
How's that?
Just is, man.
It just is. Doesn't make
Don't make fun of the Toad. Don't mock them.
Toad the Wet Sprocket is my Monty Python cover band.
Hey, Dan
See,
Rather's
that
talking
makes
to
sense.
Southwest. They gave his title as Dan Rather, President and CEO of News and Guts. I love it.
Is that the name of his company?
No. It was just a Twitter. It was just a Twitter Chimera. So passes Internet Explorer, son of Bob. Chimera's all over this.
Damn, Chimera's on fire.
Oh, here we go. Is there not a Patreon level to get Molly Wood as a contributor?
Yeah, it's the $110,000 level.
Yeah.
A month. It's not really.
Don't worry, there will still be Molly on this show.
Yeah, I don't know if it means more or Molly or not, because it's not like she's going to a job that doesn't require her to work.
Tell you what,
one
she's
can
going
always
to a
hope.
job that requires good microphones.
I know, right?
So that's got to be good for us. I think it'll be fine. I think you'll have as much Molly as you always have on this show.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Still not enough, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And you're going to get Molly on Sunday at the Buzz Out Loud reunion. So there.
Oh my God, not this Sunday. Next Sunday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't mean to imply it this Sunday.
This
There was a
Sunday
moment
I'll
when I
be-
got back on this past Sunday when I got back from South by Southwest where I'm like, do I have to go to social media world this Thursday? And I'm like, no, that's a week from now.
Yeah. Oh boy. This month, man.
I don't like March. Too much March.
It's March Madness, you know.
It's March Madness, I tell you. It's true.
All right, does everyone know where they're watching Community tonight? Does everyone
No.
understand where to find
Oh,
it?
you mean on Yahoo?
Yeah.
You meant like, well, I'm probably going to be on my couch. Why?
I thought it was like a little too prying.
Everybody know how to find Yahoo's screen apps on their preferred device?
You mean my computer?
That, or on your Roku,
Don't
etc.,
have one.
etc.
On your
how about
Apple
your
TV, your
Apple
Roku,
TV?
your Chromecast,
Don't
your
have that.
iPad.
Don't have that.
What do you have?
I have an Xbox and a PS4 and a PS.
You can get it on both of those.
No, you can get
No,
it
you-
on 360, but not on one. Which Xbox do you have?
I don't have the new. I have 360.
Oh, yeah, you can get it on that.
Yeah, it's on there already.
Oh, really, SoundCloud? Title must
Put it-
not exceed 100 characters.
Wah-wah.
Mhm.
Gee, SoundCloud, thanks.
Total buzzkill, SoundCloud.
Buzz.
Buzz not out loud.
Buzz out quiet. That was never the problem. Um, oh my gosh. All right, I need to stop looking at all this. Yeah, so only 80, we sold 82% of our free tickets to the Buzz Out Loud thing. So if anyone watching this stream was thinking about getting a ticket, hurry. And if you weren't thinking about getting a ticket, you can listen to it streaming online.
Correct.
And Berry Crunch.
What?
I remember that South Park
I
episode.
do, yeah.
I don't know why it was on the other day, and it's in my head.
Oh, yeah. You can watch them on Hulu.
Hulu, Hulu. Too many schnooks. Too many.
I shop at Schnucks.
Is that a thing?
The friendliest stores in town.
Aw.
SCHNUCKS, I think. Schnucks. Too many Schnooks. Whoa.
Dude. Whoever came up with that concept was freaking genius.
Listen to Pixels. All right. That, my friends, is the sound of me imitating the little bit of the end of the show where I was checking to make sure I uploaded it correctly, which I did, which means I am now out of the post, which means we must go now because Penn State has suspended a frat, according to CNN, and we have to read about it. So,
Shocker.
goodbye, everybody.